Hello and welcome to the second episode in our OTT special webinar series. And today we'll try to understand the challenges buyers face and some in general challenges with regards to advertising on OTT platforms. A special thanks to Pubmatic for helping facilitate this conversation. Let me begin by talking some bit about the first webinar in this series, where we hosted Anil Pandit of Publicis, Viras Singh of MX Player, and Amit was there too. And we talked about how much do OTT players know their audience, what is the journey of that audience from upper funnel to lower funnel on OTT platforms. And we also discussed levels of targeting, segmentation, transparency that is available to buyers. We also discussed how retargeting works on OTT platforms, etc. And then we also touched upon some challenges that this sector is facing in terms of advertising. But in this episode, we are going to talk about those very challenges in detail. And Deepak, coming to you now on this, let's talk a little bit about the effects that the pandemic is having on this sector, OTT sector, and what has been your experience so far with regards to OTT advertising? I mean, did COVID give any opportunity to innovate? Were there any learnings? Overall, how was it?
So it is quite interesting, Rahul. Actually, that's a very interesting point that you brought up. COVID actually saw varied user patterns on OTT, right? I mean, so for example, if you look at how the adoption grew on OTT during the initial phases of the lockdown, OTT platforms started seeing significant upsurge in their SVOD subscriptions. So a lot of consumption started happening, and that essentially gave them an organic kind of a boost to their free content as well. Because when you get the user on the platform, you typically end up showing them a lot of content, which is not just paid but across also what is free. So lots of interesting kind of usage patterns emerged. Lots of interesting conversation emerged. Significant spike in traffic, and obviously at the back of that, we were continuing to innovate and having conversations with our partners to make sure that we're taking lots of interesting conversations back to our clients to try and see how we can monetize and continue to get clients to be active during a lull period like April, May, June, especially the first 3 months. So yeah, lots of interesting conversations, but a few platforms also saw a dip in traffic, for example, in free content, because it was largely at the back of consumption happening. The spike was largely at the back of consumption happening for paid content, because people were home, they were watching more, kind of subscription content and paying for it. So that is what we noticed.
Anita, the OTT market is at a very nascent stage in India. It's in a growth phase, and the OTT advertising is currently at its all-time high. Having said that, there are a few challenges that, if removed, OTT will grow through the rooftops. So one such challenge that we found out is of user attribution, and I wanted to understand from you, how are OTT players today trying to overcome this particular challenge?
See, the user attribution challenges with not only one OTT but all OTT. I think it's an industry issue because when the users are coming onto the platform, and nobody is today willing to reveal their identity in terms of whether it is age or whether it is gender or whatever things are required. So what happens is that while you have your regular MAUs and DAUs, the only problem there becomes is that you are not able to really segregate to say what's the gender, what's the age group, and hence from an advertising perspective, it becomes difficult to really give on target reach, to the audiences that any brand requires. So given that, I think what most of us are doing, and if not doing, will start to do, is the fact that we are getting into forced registration. So if you come on board, you have to register first, and then reveal at least your gender and age, etc. And cities, of course, get mapped from the region that you're coming on. So that measure all OTT platforms are taking. And I think it's a matter of time, because anything that new comes in, anything that requires you to reveal personal information, takes a bit of trust and time to really get there. But having said that, I think there is a fair amount of knowledge and understanding that the platforms have through their own data and analytics to figure out as to who is the user that a particular view gets attributed to. So I think it'll take a little time, but I think we'll get there, because measurement in any case takes some time. But yeah, a lot of that is already identified, and hence the advertising is getting targeted to them.
Sure. And Amit, on the sell side, the challenges would be quite different, right? And as I understand, when Deepak is buying for his clients, the challenges for you would be to ensure that Deepak and his clients do not face problem of frequency capping, back-to-back ads. Can you take a minute or so to talk about the challenges you see in the OTT sector and how is PubMatic addressing them?
So you were bang on when you said some of the issues like frequency capping and back-to-back ads. These were the challenges which all the buyers were facing when they wanted to transact programmatically. We discussed this earlier as well. While almost about 50% of OTT video is transacted programmatically, but out of that, 95% is transacted via PGs, or so-called upfront commitments, in terms of money, in terms of impressions and everything. So that was not actually true programmatic. And the reasons were very obvious, that when you want to go true programmatic, you want to control things like these, like competitive exclusions, like back-to-back same ads not running, right? Frequency cap, big no-no. Latency in terms of loading the ad. All of those things prevented both publishers and buyers in adopting the true programmatic, so to say. And that's where our product, which is OpenWrap OTT, came into play. We launched this in early 2020, and this has been able to address many of such challenges that prevented both buyers and publishers from fully embracing programmatic and then probably header bidding until now. Now it allows for optimization of the entire ad pod rather than just an ad slot, which is a big issue, because what OpenWrap does is it centralizes the entire demand, be it direct or indirect. I mean the IO business, I mean demands coming from networks, from all partners. It centralizes everything and does a parallel auction, a server-side parallel auction. So this gives publisher critical controls to manage the whole pod and to enforce things like we mentioned, competitive exclusion, avoid channel conflict, prevent back-to-back ads, frequency capping. It also provides a tool to respond in real time to changes in viewer behavior and increases the inventory availability, in turn also helping publishers maximize the yield and also fill rates. And from an advertiser point of view, it's access to the incremental supply, right? In a tag-based setup or in a waterfall setup, the biggest challenge is that buyer is not able to have a view of the entire inventory. So this technology offers a complete, holistic view of the supply that is there, giving them more option to pick audiences whatever they want, and thus by giving them more dynamic, more flexible and transparent buying models.
So OTT's share of advertising has grown in recent past, and also the number of advertisers have substantially gone up. So what, according to both of you, will enable a larger share of media spends for OTT category in particular? And Deepak, you can go first, and then Amit can come in.
Sure. So yeah, so you rightly said, the share of usage, share of users, share of content, everything, share of voice, share of market, everything has gone up for OTTs overall. But if you look at it, we're truly still at the same time. If you look at it, the market leaders in Google and Facebook, they've also grown. It's not just that the growth has happened only for OTT. And I'm purely talking from users aspect right now. So the kind of share of users are or the reach essentially of these platforms have grown exponentially. So if you look at it from that angle, uh, very very interesting solutions we've worked out with OTT platforms. At the back of their significant reach that they've garnered in the last 2 to 3 years. But at the same time, there are tons of challenges that we face. Like independently, if you compare what, let's say, YouTube or Facebook, for example, can deliver, there are tons of issues that we face at times with independent OTTs to kind of deliver that kind of scale, or for that matter, deliver that kind of impact, or that for that matter, deliver the kind of technical prowess or data rich data assets that YouTube or Google, YouTube or Facebook bring to the table. So that is something that I think there is a lot of catch up to play. But we are not saying that we should be comparing. But at the same time, what the advertisers ROI is of prime importance. So what they are getting out of the larger platforms today is quite significant, and I think there are tons of areas of development for the OTTs to kind of work on that front.
And Amit?
So I think growth in terms of media spends or having a bigger share of media spends for publisher can be looked from three aspects. One is whether um, publisher is able to capture that demand, and if not, what are the reasons there? If buyer is willing to invest more, and if it is not, why are they not doing that? So if you talk from a publisher's perspective, they need control. They need control over the solutions that provide them new demand opportunities. Their yield should be maximized, and their fill rates should be optimized as well. Now, having said that, they also need to have a look into certain challenges like ad load time. Um, so, because it's paramount from a viewer's point of view that it should not hinder with the viewer experience. So that's where I think some of the challenges for publishers lie. And from a buyer's perspective, like Deepak mentioned, I think audience is paramount. The way bigger players are, or the so-called walled gardens are able to ingest intelligence of audience and data. If we are able to replicate that in case of other OTT players, that's one. And the other demands, like I mentioned earlier, because you really want to provide a linear TV experience to your advertisers with the added intelligence of audience, data, reporting, analytics, all of that. So both these two things are extremely important from buyer's point of view. And I think if that is sorted to some extent, buyers would be more than willing to invest more monies towards OTT and definitely scale spends there.
Absolutely. So Amit rightly said, and I think I'd also like to build on that. The aspect of you need to always look at marketing dollars or investments from a point of view of one single plate. Uh, what is the marketer really wanting? At times sometimes when we speak from a publisher's point of view, we sometimes forget the whole core reason what the market is chasing. What is the business objective? What is the marketing objective that they are chasing? So if you look at it from the marketer's lens, I think it's significantly important that we look at the entire landscape and holistically on what the large platforms are delivering today, and that's the reason they are garnering upwards of 2/3 of media, and there is a reason for that. So if we are able to kind of create value in that aspect, and by providing whether it is technical edge, whether it is a data edge, whether it is a reach edge, you need to match up somewhere so that we'll be able to drive significant growth to the entire OTT ecosystem.
We all know the number of advertisers have gone substantially down, and also they've become more demanding, ROI focused. We all know OTT players are working continuously to develop a lot of ad tech in-house and are also partnering with third-party measurement companies. So how are OTT players tackling with advertisers' need of tracking engagement and user reaction both?
The objective today for any OTT platform is either to provide entertainment or news or sports, whatever genre that particular platform is operating in. So content becomes important, and hence, what are we doing with the audiences through content? We're trying to reach them, and we are trying to build awareness for any brands those are advertising on the OTT platforms. So, given the objective is that of reach and awareness, it is a completely a top funnel approach for all the OTTs. I mean, it will take us a while to really do a full funnel approach. In fact, some have reached the mid funnel, and some have not reached the bottom funnel as of now. We know that is important because we know everything is shifted to digital, and I don't need to talk really too much on what all is shifted to digital, whether it is banking, whether it is consumption, whether it is anything else. Day-to-day stuff, everything is on digital, and hence, if you have to reach those audiences and make a conversion, then it is very important to get onto the bottom funnel or a full funnel approach to that extent. But I think slowly, after one has gotten all the data analytics in place, one is obviously connecting with a lot of data analytic agencies, measurement agencies, and everybody is working with them, because some have got it in-house, some are trying to attempt it in-house, and some are tying up outsourcing it to various other companies as well. So it'll take some time, because as you rightfully know that the OTT space is really, so to say, about a 2 or a 3-year-old phenomena, and it's suddenly kind of come into the forefront because of the pandemic situation, where everybody is being starved of viewing content or getting entertained or whatever, and hence the OTT has been a much sought after space. So if we have to be in the game, and if we have to deliver from a ROI and a conversions perspective, yes, OTTs will have to get into the full funnel approach, but I think we're getting there. It's not really, Rome wasn't built in a day, so it takes a little time.
And Deepak, while you are at it, can you also talk about user attribution as a challenge, and how complex is it, and what is the advertiser's understanding of the issue? How, as an agency, you are tackling the advertiser expectations in this regard? All of that.
So attribution, Rahul, is a very broad term. When you say attribution, do you have a specific question in mind with respect to what in attribution? Because attribution is going to impact multiple things, from measurement to reporting to a lot of things to targeting.
Yes, with user attribution, I mean, how are you tracking a user's journey, right, throughout, and leading that to a action, any action, maybe an app install, maybe a buying, or maybe going to a store, all of that kind of an attribution.
So things so far have been good. Obviously, as you're aware, attribution plays a significant role in marketing and optimizing the client spends, and making sure we're looking at the right kind of channels to deploy our clients' investments. So we continuously optimize. It's a real-time job, and attribution plays a very, very important aspect in the user's journey, right from discovery to end purchase. What obviously there are certain challenges that you're aware that the industry is aware of. If you look at what Apple is probably doing for IDFA, what Google is doing on cookies, on Chrome, a lot of those things will impact attribution in various ways, and it totally depends from market to market, client to client, objective to objective, on how those things will be tackled. But as an agency group, we are right up the alley, working closely with clients to continuously educate them as to what is the plan B, plan C that they need to deploy in such cases. So we are at it. It's a developing story. So there is no clear answer as to what will happen. But this is something which we are continuously educating our clients on.
Sure, Amit. There's another challenge that is on the rise, which is ad fraud, particularly on CTV. How much you as an ad tech company are dealing, or basically how you as an ad tech company are dealing with the issue?
See, OTT or CTV is still very nascent, I would say. But the market is already fragmented, right? There are multiple ways for buyers to access that inventory. They may have direct contacts with the publishers. You may have channel partners or platforms coming to the buyers. You also have aggregators. So they're all gatekeepers of the supply. Now, the challenge for advertisers is to understand how these sources prevent fraud and facilitate measurement, right? There are third party independent tools like double verify, like ads.txt protocols, which is now extended to CTV. So I think from a buyer perspective, these are the basic hygiene. When you're buying some inventory through CTV, or OTT, these are the things that is paramount for like the first base of verification, right? So that is one important factor. The other is like is um, you know advertisers need to push sellers to be more transparent and how they measure OTT and CTV to ensure that the performance is compared across all channels. So I may be working with partners which may not match up to what a buyer is probably working on, and so there is no standardization of measurement tools. I think that is again one critical bridge that needs to be filled when it comes to measurement of um, things like let's say viewability, let's say inventory source, and so on and so forth. And I think lastly, we must understand that this is a this is a quality game. This is not a quantity game at this point of time. If you include CTV also in the mix, so buyers need to understand that pick up the partners or the SSPs and the DSPs who are able to collaborate with them by providing them the right kind of inventory in the right kind of context with all the parameters of ad fraud into the mix, and give them scope to experiment and give them scope, because this is an evolving field, right? You need to experiment, you need to innovate, you need to come up with newer models. So I think that is where things like optimizing in terms of supply chain um, is very important.
As there are currently more than 30 OTT players into play, how are OTT players ensuring that there is minimal audience spillage? And Anita, how are OTT players like ZEE5 able to offer better campaign impact measurements, and how much more can be measured on OTT in comparison to TV?
So let me take the first thing first, which is if you're talking about audience spillage. See, today, like I said, we are in an extraordinary situation, and you will notice that most of us are subscribing to not one OTT, but we are actually subscribing to two, three OTT platforms, and that largely comes from the kind of content that the OTTs are putting into the marketplace for the audiences to view. Now each OTT has a different plank to take in terms of what they're offering. For example, in the case of ZEE5, and I'll talk for us, is that we want to be the super app of entertainment. So everything and anything to do with entertainment is there on the channel. There are others who have a combination of entertainment and sports. There are some who have a combination of some reality and non-fiction shows, and or maybe impact properties. So everybody is taking a different route to audiences. There will obviously be platforms where you have a higher male skew. There are platforms where you have a higher female skew. In the case of ZEE5, we are very balanced. So we have a great male and female skew to that extent. And vis-a-vis that is the kind of audiences that we deliver. So if you're talking about spillage, it's got to do with the number of users that you have on the platform, and what are the kind of audiences that you're reaching to. Where are those audiences? What are the affinities of those audiences? And hence, the spillages are controllable. So either you're talking about a spill, or you're talking about a combination of 2-3 OTT platforms, so that you are able to enmass the audiences that you want. So that's on the spillage part. The second part is the TV plus an OTT measurement or a TV plus a digital measurement. But that's actually an industry issue. I don't think anybody has an answer today. All we know is that digital adds to television reach. I think there is no question on that today, and specifically in today's day and age, digital is adding to the television reach. I remember back in time when I was working for an ad agency. There in the media agency, we actually did an internal model both for attribution and also for the fact as to what is the incremental that the digital gives on television. And we did, by various algorithms, figured out that there is an incremental reach that digital brings to the table over television, and it is far more efficient. So if you were to, take some 5 incremental points of reach on television, the amount of money or budgets being spent would be far higher than getting that 5% additional reach on digital. So now today we know that digital brings in additional reach. How much is that reach depending on what platform you are in is a big question mark. So whether it will be bringing 5%, 10%, 20, 40, what is that reach? So I think all of us in our own ways are looking at adapting and working with the research companies and measurement companies, where we can try and test out as to what is that incremental reach that a platform is bringing to the table. So as an industry, we don't have a currency. As an industry, we don't have an answer to it. I think each one of us in our own way are trying to work that out, because finally there is a finite reach number basis different audiences and product categories that one has to come out with. So I think, like I said, as it is, the OTT platform space is a nascent one. So I think as we are growing and finding various challenges, we are trying to address those.
So thanks, Amit. And Deepak, we discussed a lot of challenges today, and while the fight is on to address these challenges, the search for better ROI will not stop, I think. So at the end, I wanted to understand from you some specifics that can help drive better ROI for your OTT advertisers.
Sure. So there are tons of solutions that actually we are working towards as market first and market leaders as well. There is an interesting thing that as a service that we've launched, and I'm sure you must have heard of Xaxis, which is a company which is our company, whereby what we're providing is we are driving a one single view or one single access to multiple OTTs in the market. It allows us to essentially provide a service to our clients where we are significantly driving combined kind of reach and frequency goals on one single campaign across all OTTs in one go, right? So that's a significant step towards driving and achieving kind of the reach goals that we are kind of aspiring for our clients, the kind of frequency goals that we're kind of aspiring, and the impact goals that we're looking forward to. So it allows us to essentially look at or set up the campaign in a way that gets access by all OTTs, and whoever obviously contributes to the relevant reach on that particular target group wins the bid. So these are the kind of steps that we're taking to ensure that we drive the maximum ROI, and ROI obviously is also a subjective term, right? It depends on what you're chasing, right? So if you're chasing a branding goal and you need to reach as many people as possible with the right kind of frequency gaps, then you can do that with this kind of a product, and we're trying to achieve that with this setup. Similarly, as we learn more, as we keep evolving and trying to do more campaigns, we will also be able to evolve and try to do far more direct response campaigns or performance campaigns, as you say. So this is something that we are working towards. We're building solutions as a group to try and answer these questions as well, these challenges on ROI.
With reference to brand safety, can you help us understand how are OTT players able to regulate advertising on their platforms? Like TV, is there any authority or body which can help formulate ad guidelines for OTT platforms?
See, if you're talking about an IBF for OTT, not sure if there is any one singular body, but I think of late there are a lot of OTT platforms who have signed the Self-Regulation Act, where they are saying that we will self-regulate ourselves from a content perspective so that there is brand safety in place. I don't know about the other OTT platforms, but I can, at ZEE5, we are completely brand safety compliant. It's a measurement that we are trying to do both from AI and ML perspective, where we try and figure out as to the message that is being sent out by a brand should be in a conducive environment, and it should not be toxic or it should not be negative at all. So we assure our brands of brand safety, and we are completely compliant to that. And I'm sure, if you're self-regulating yourself, because there is really no, from a government perspective also, there is no regular rule or regulation or a law for content safety vis-a-vis the space that we are operating in. I'm sure the government is also working on getting those regulations in, but I think the best thing is to self-regulate, and we are doing that.
Finally, what does future hold for the rapidly growing OTT market in India?
One word is bright. Yeah, so I think the future for OTT is bright. While there are lots of questions where people are saying that when we get back to the earlier normal, will it be the same situation for the OTTs? See, today, after being in the situation for almost 8 months now, I think there are habits that have got formed. There are people who've gotten used to a certain pattern of viewing, not only on the OTT platforms, but all connected devices. What is it that you want to view? Where is it that you want to go? Today, connected devices and connected TV is becoming a very, very important aspect. One never thought that you would actually be loading a ZEE5 on your television screen and viewing ZEE5, whether it's SVOD or AVOD, on your television screen, but not through Zee TV, the channel. So connected TV is also becoming important, and there is a lot of data that indicates, at least for us, that there are light television viewers who are actually viewing first time viewing content on the ZEE5 platform, and they're also viewing it on the connected TV or on connected devices. So I think it does seem that the future is bright. It does seem that as long as you are able to cater to the interests of the audiences and continue to entertain them or inform them in whatever genre they are interested in, I think the future is bright.
Sure, and this has been an amazing discussion. If time allowed, we could have gone for much longer. But then for today, let's stop here. And thank you so much, everyone, for joining today.